I'ma do it some nights. So what my eyes, that moment I visualize is coming. If you could see me now, see I'm gonna break through the life I knew. Been waiting, the dream come true. Still aiming. If you could see me now, if you could see me now.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. First off, sorry about yesterday, no video, some technical difficulties, but we're back and it's Friday, so you guys know we have a new hobby video for you guys today, and this one's been a long time coming. I know Overdress has been here in the States for a few weeks now, and I've been trying to get you guys some live gameplay, but I've had issues. But regardless, we're here now. I've got you guys a video that I recorded a couple days ago. I'm going to hit you guys with some post commentary. And if you guys enjoy this, there's actually a couple more parts to this matchup. If you guys enjoy the video, please drop a like. It really helps out. Subscribe if you're new. But let's jump in. Let's check out the game. Alright, before we had actually drawn our hands, we had already decided who was going first, and I won the dice roll, so I will be going first. That is me on the right, the Dragon Empire mat. That is my buddy Gary on the left with his custom mat. I returned 4, he returned 3, and after a quick shuffle, we'll be getting started. This is an interesting matchup because you don't get to see very much of either of these decks. As much as I like Eugene, it's considered very, very low tier, so a lot of people don't play it. And kind of the same with Hexaorb, even though I think Hexaorb has some serious potential. I start off by discarding grade 1 Stealth Fiend to ride to grade 1 and just pass. There are a couple cuts in here just to make this a little bit shorter, because it was a really long video. But I cut out some explanation of different card effects. Right there, he discarded to ride grade 1, drew a card off the grade 0's effect, and he actually explains to me this grade 1's effect, where after a boost he can Soul Blast 1 to draw a card. He also hits a draw trigger, so he's drawing lots of cards. Just in that one turn, he's drawn 3 cards off of just effects. I took the 1 damage, and I get to go for turn. Discard another copy of the grade 2, ride 1 from the ride deck. Grade 1 skill lets me soul charge when I ride Randor. And then Randor's effect, I don't see a lot of people use this on their second turn, but you can Counter Blast 1 to soul charge if your opponent has 2 or less Vanguard. It's a Vanguard skill, and it gives you 5k power, so they can't just trigger guard for 2 to pass. They actually have to guard with more cards. Now, when he rides his grade 2, his grade 1 lets him Counter Blast 1 to draw a card, which is still pretty good. So again, he's drawn another card off of an effect. And now he gets to start doing mega stuff. The grade 2 also has a rearguard skill that lets him check the top card of his deck and put it at the top or bottom of his deck. He leaves it on top, so I immediately thought he had a trigger. I guard for a no pass by guarding with 1 trigger, and he gets a heal trigger. He gives it to the rearguard, heals up, and I take the 1 damage. My turn goes, I discard to ride grade 3. At this point, you can actually see the top card in my hand. The card I just drew is another grade 3, and I got a grade 3 last turn on the drive check, so I already have 2 grade 3s for Persona Ride in hand. I ride Eugene. Randor's ride on skill lets me draw a card and take a card from my drop zone and put it into the soul. I was double checking the amount of cards in my soul because of the move I'm going to make next. I have 6 cards in soul, so I don't know how to do this. This grade 2 is a Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1 on place, retire one of my opponent's grade 2 or graders. He played a grade 2, and now I get to use Eugene's skill, Soul Blast 5, check the top 5, since my opponent now has a clear board, and call as many rear guards as I want. I actually thought this was pretty good because I didn't actually see a whole lot of triggers when I did this top 5. Booster, grade 2 for attacking, got another grade 1 to go. Nope, I lied. We put a grade. We had 2 triggers and another grade 2 unit. So we put a trigger behind the Vanguard to boost the Vanguard, and the other 2 cards went into the soul. And then we called from the hand. We get a crit. Of course, critical to Vanguard since he has no damage. We put the power to the left side rear guard. Both rows were actually the same, so it didn't really matter which one we gave it to. And he does not hit a trigger. So we hit with the swing with the weaker column first, just in case he hits a trigger. Because if he hits a trigger, that attack won't be able to hit. He 15k guards it, and we hit swing with the 28, which he just takes. So now it's 3-2. We have blown out our counter blast though, which is a little eh. So he finally gets to grade 3. Grade 2 skill for Hexaorb is silly. When it rides Hexaorb, you get to check the top 3 and stack them on top of your deck in any order. It's bonkers. Especially what he does now. He's taking his time because he has some good stuff that he throws on top. Now watch this. He stacked the top 3. Only one of them was a trigger. And he wants to make sure he gets it. So he uses this cool card. Double checking it again. He put the trigger in the middle. So you can do this. Bad grade 3 has the ability to restand when he checks a trigger. He gets to counter blast 2 and restand it. And Hexaorb has 2 skills. First continuous skill is that when he checks a trigger, he gets to give an additional 10k to a unit, which is silly, on top of the trigger's power. And then he does a persona ride. She has a persona ride skill that he's going to use in the following turn. So when he uses grade 1, he plays it, rests it, check the top 2, puts 1 on top. He gets to put 1 on top, 1 on the bottom. So he made sure that his next draft check is a trigger. Now he swings to the grade 3, which is only a 13k, so I'm just going to do the smart guy move and intercept. Now he swings the Vanguard. I know he's got a trigger on top. I just didn't expect this trigger. He hits me with the over trigger. So he gets to draw a card, the over trigger banishes. He gives the 1 million power, the 100 million power to his rear guard. Uses his other rear guard skill, Counter Blast 2, to restand, and now all of his rear guards have drop checks. And then he still has a second drop check with Hexaorb, which is a great thing. I take the 1 damage, give 10k to my Vanguard, and now his restood attack is not so scary. But he still has that 100 million power one. He still swings. He swings at me with 18. I'm actually, that's why. He swings at me with 18. At first I was very confused as to why he swung, but he still had a twin drive. This was a little bit of confusion. I thought the attack hit because he didn't get a trigger. The attack wasn't enough, and he just let me put the card back on top of the deck. And now he swings with 100 million power, also with a twin drive. That one will be perfect guard. He wanted to make sure he couldn't restand a second time. And this time he gets a front trigger and a perfect guard. All in all, he just added 5 cards to hand off of those. No, 6 cards to hand off of those draft checks. So now I'm pretty behind. I persona ride, trying to get some offense. Give me some 10k. Oh, you guys see me make another gross misplay? I was very nervous to be on the camera. Don't worry, the rest of the games go a lot smoother. There are a lot less misplays here. So I use Eugene's skill by resting both of my Nigels to retire his rear guard. Thankfully, my buddy realizes that I'm so I didn't want to use both of the Nigels because I only have the 1 counter blast. That's why I wanted to use Stealth Fiend instead. He gave me the okay. it doesn't affect the game at all. But I do get another retire off of Nigel. Hold on, I'm gonna pause it here. So the reason I retired the booster behind the Vanguard is because of a pretty cool play you can do with Hexaorb. So Hexaorb's little itty bitty problem is when she checks a trigger, she has to give 10,000 to a rear guard. She can't give 10,000 to herself, but she can give 10,000 to her booster. So, say she's swinging by herself, she's 13. The highest she can get is 33 with 2 triggers. She has a booster, she's 21. Now the highest she can get is 41. Well, because of her skill, if you pump up the booster, you can actually get as high as 61, which is almost enough to punch through an overtrigger. But that's only if she has a booster behind her. Otherwise, you have to give it to one of the other rear guards. It's an interesting little thing, and it's just with the ability to retire rear guards, it was just safer to make sure she didn't have the booster. And you'll also see why in the next turn. Now, I used Stealth Fiend's effect to check the top card. I got another grade 1, so I was feeling pretty good. So we end up swinging 38. We conserve on hand. We have another grade 3 for Persona Ride next turn. Looking pretty good. He's at 4 damage, so he decides to perfect guard this. We're sitting at 3 damage. There's a discard for the PG. Sorry that you can't see his drop zone. I'll make sure we fix that next time we record. We did end up getting a perfect guard and a critical trigger. We give it to the bigger rear guard. We actually just take out his rear guard, so that way he's forced to play more cards in hand. We can't actually kill him with the Nigel attack. We would have just play him to 5. So instead, we swing with the crit on the right side and use Nigel to take out the rear guard. Alright, here's where things kind of go bleh. So he does a Persona Ride. He likes his shiny ones on top, that's why he puts it in the soul. Now, Hexaorb's Persona Ride skill is bonkers. If you Persona Road that turn, you can Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, take a crit trigger or front trigger, and stack it on top of your deck. I also did miss that he did this. I was so wrapped up in how I was going to guard that I didn't see that he stacked 2 cards, put 1 on top, 1 on the bottom. He guaranteed that he was going to get a double crit. So he just stacked a critical trigger, calls out his board, uses Hexaorb. Oh, I'm wrong. So he got rid of 2 triggers, so he was increasing his chances for triggers. I'm sorry, but he did stack a critical. Now, if you look at my hand's pretty stacked. I actually have 2 BGs. I'm mad at myself for what happened next. Now, he's swinging 23. I throw out 30k in guard, putting me to 43. That is 2 to pass. Come on. I do play the defensive fort. I forgot I was at 3 damage. I used that and 15k. Now, here's why I made the moves I made. I feel like I have to explain this. So that puts my guard up to 43. That is a 2 to pass on his Vanguard. The reason I wanted to save the PGs is because with all the power Hexaorb can give, his rear guards are going to be much bigger than his Vanguard. Right now he's looking at 23 with a potential of, let's say he gives all 3 triggers to the right side along with the power. That's an extra 60k in power he can dish out. That right side rear guard could be over 80k, or he could split it and make the left side over 40, both of them over 40k. So I wanted to save the PGs for those because I didn't have the guard to guard those. Here's the part that I didn't think about it. 43k is a 2 to pass. If I had just intercepted with my grade 2, it would have made it a 3 to pass, which would have increases my chances of survival, especially since he has a triple drive now and he has a guaranteed crit. I didn't realize until until we were packing up that that's the way I should have guarded. But check it out. There's the first crit. And another thing is he also gives all effects to Vanguard. He saw how many cards I had in hand, how many triggers he had been through, not nearly enough, and he decides to give it all to Vanguard. Because I think at this point he had only seen 8 triggers in total, 8 or 9. So he had a nice chunk, and he had just bottom decked two non-triggers, so he was setting himself up pretty good. Gives it all to Vanguard. And then he gives the power from Hexaorb's effect to his right side rear guard. And there's the second trigger, and I'm just like, oh. And then third check is a nada. So now I have to take 3 damage checks, critical trigger, nothing, and critical trigger. And that's the game. So that was my misplay. Like I said, I should have guarded for a 3 to pass, especially since I had the guard for both rear guard columns, and I was at 3 damage, so I could have also taken a hit. It was just, I don't know what I was thinking. It was a lot of fun though, but mistakes happen. But I hope you guys enjoyed this game. I hope you enjoyed my commentary. Again, if you did, please drop a like, comment, let me know. If you guys want to see game 2, smash that like button. Let me know in the comments. I will tell you this match goes on for 3 games, so I kind of spoil who wins in the next game. But if you want to see how it happens, it's actually pretty cool. Let me know in the comments. But if you guys want to check me out on social media, those links will be down below. And that is it for me. I will catch you guys tomorrow with another video. Later.
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make you strong. Let's break it down for a minute. I want the crown, I'm gon' get it. You hear me loud, man, I'm winning. Yeah, Charlie Sheen will be grinning.